Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, where we look at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hi, and welcome back. I'm your hostess, Cindy Murray, and I'm here today with my co-hosts, Amber Garvin and Kristen Hessler.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
We are here today talking about several different things, including the new moon that's coming up on tomorrow, and National Cheesecake Day, which is coming up on what day, Kristen?
The 30th.
The 30th. Ooh, I'm ready for some cheesecake. And we are talking, our topic of discussion today is pet peeves, and that brings me to cheesecake. One of my pet peeves is that there are hardly ever any really good low-cal, sugar-free, low-carb desserts. Or, here's the really big pet peeve, why does it cost so dang much?
Cheesecake or low-calorie
Both.
desserts?
Both. Both. I'm like, I look at cheesecake. Oh my gosh. Kristen and I went to a sugar-free bakery today, and we bought some cheesecake, sugar-free cheesecake. And I want to say it was like $30 for 4 pieces of cheesecake. That's just ridiculous to me. And I go to a lot of places and they don't have sugar-free desserts.
Most restaurants don't
Most
have
restaurants do not have any sugar-free, or they promote this thing that is sugar-free, but it's full of carbs. It may not have sugar in it, but it's loaded with flour and other things that are really high carb, and just, you know,
And carbs turn to sugar.
carbs are sugar. People don't get it. Well, actually, I will say I was in a cheesecake factory in Anaheim, California a few years back, and I asked them if they had a sugar-free cheesecake, and the guy was like, no, I don't think so. They do. I don't remember what I think they called it a low-carb cheesecake, and it was made with Splenda. It was delicious. But even the waiter didn't even know if there was a sugar-free one. So I think people don't understand that sugar-free needs to also be low-carb.
Yeah, it really does.
It does. I don't know anyone who does a low-sugar diet, or low-sugar or no-sugar diet, who doesn't also have to watch the carbs, because carbs are
And if they're not
sugar.
watching their carbs, they're doing it wrong.
They're doing it wrong. And I know a lot of diabetics who do it that way. So, but anyway, that is its own little pet peeve there. And that gets us into the topic of our pet peeves. And one of my pet peeves also is waiters who don't know what's on the menu. Or in the case of an experience that I had, a Burger King manager who did not know what was on one of the burgers they were selling.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the manager of the store, and he didn't know if it had jalapenos on it or not. It did. I was very disappointed when I bought it, and it had jalapenos on it, because I don't eat jalapenos.
I went to a place the other day, and I knew for a fact that they didn't have rice on their burrito. But I wanted to double check just because I wanted to make sure that they didn't put rice on the burrito, because I can't eat rice. And so, and this is the second time that I'd been there, and I asked them again, you're not going to put rice on the burrito? And the guy was all like, no, we put rice on the burrito. And I had been there before, and I was like, you don't put rice on the burrito. And the girl was like, no, we don't put rice on the burrito. Mm-hmm. So I knew that they didn't put rice on the burrito, but I ended up not ordering it because I was afraid this guy was going to make the burrito with rice.
Well, you know what?
And I didn't want rice on my burrito.
I've actually ordered things, and whatever it was that I told them not to put on it, they mark it to put it on it. Or to double it, or whatever. You know, if I ask them, does this have blah, 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 blah on it? And they're like, no, it doesn't. And I'm like, okay, good, because I don't want that. And then they put it on there. And I'm
Okay.
like, what the heck?
Okay, so like that is a pet peeve that I do have in food service industry.
I know which one you're talking about.
Well, I don't think so, but
Oh, okay.
like literally Raina's little friend was over and she wanted a hamburger with mayonnaise, meat, and bread. Why is that so hard to communicate? I know that all the listeners just heard me say a hamburger with mayonnaise, meat, and bread. There's 3 things: meat, bread, mayonnaise. You add those together to get one thing. And the only condiment or thing that you added to the normal base product that you sell is mayonnaise.
Yes.
I don't want lettuce. I do not want cheese. I do not want pickles. No ketchup. No mustard. I shouldn't even have to say I don't want those things. If I just said I want a meat, bun, and mayonnaise burger, I should be able to easily acquire that.
Yes.
This poor child got 2 pieces of meat with extra cheese on it. And I was like, I am so sorry. Because I clearly said meat, bread, and mayonnaise like 5 times.
Once again, same Burger King, different manager now. My husband went in.
There.
I know, I'm ready. My husband went in. I probably shouldn't be eating it anyway. My husband went in and he asked for a Whopper with cheese, no tomato. That's mine. Okay. And he wanted a mustard Whopper, right? And I can't remember what Ashley got, but anyway, it was such a mess. And the guy was like confused, and he knew it was going to turn out bad anyway. So he wound up bringing back 2 Whoppers. I think his had a tomato on it. Mine didn't, but both of them had mayonnaise, ketchup, and mustard. And when he said a mustard Whopper, they were like confused. They were totally confused. And that's the way he's always ordered it. That's the way you used to be able to order it. You either got a regular Whopper or you could ask for a mustard Whopper, and they knew to withhold the mayonnaise and the ketchup. And, and he specifically told them mustard Whopper, but they put the mayonnaise and the ketchup on it anyway. And we're trying to figure out, they were like, oh, you want something different than what's on there? And we were thinking back to like the 80s, hold the pickles, hold the lettuce, special orders, don't upset us. You can have it your way at Burger King. No, you can't.
See, I used to work at a burger place, not Burger King, but, at a similar burger place. And when we were always told that when people ordered mustard, they shouldn't get any of the otother condiments.
You don't want the other. If somebody orders a mustard burger,
there,
that's all you put on there.
They don't want mayonnaise and ketchup. Because that's...
Yeah.
I mean,
or if they order a mayonnaise burger, they only want the mayonnaise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean...
Or you can say, would you like...
I mean, it's kind of common
ketchup
sense,
and
but
mayonnaise
maybe
with
not
that?
anymore.
No. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing that I thought you were going towards, and we're still talking wait staff. How many times have you been in a restaurant and the waiter's standing there? It's a table of 6 or 8 people, and the waiter is not writing a darn thing down. What do you want to drink? And then he gets through with everybody and he goes, that was 3 Cokes and a Diet Dr. Pepper. No, that was 2 teas, a Coke and a Diet Dr. Pepper, or whatever,
Yeah.
And it's like, if you'd written that down, you would know that. And it never fails. They get the order wrong somewhere between the drinks, the food, whatever, because they're not writing it down. And darn good and well, they got a little pad in their pocket. Just write the stupid order down. Then you know what you're ordering. Because somebody always at the table orders something without the sauce on it, or extra well done, or a different side, or something. And how are you going to remember that with 8 people? You can't. You can't. So that's a peeve of mine. Yes.
If we're talking about food peeves, I cannot stand whenever you open the fresh gallon of milk and there's that crusty white milk crust around the edge. Like, those give me the heebie-jeebies.
Oh, it's gross.
And if I pour one of those into a glass, I dump the whole glass out and start with a new cup. Like, if one of those falls into my cup, I can't. They gross me out.
It is gross.
It's like a milk booger.
A food peeve I have is like if you take a bite of something and you know it's not supposed to be crunchy, but then you feel like a crunch, and it's like, or like a gristle or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I can't do those.
Ooh.
Yeah,
and then I'm like,
do
I have to spit the whole thing out. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. Like the other day, I went to a restaurant and it was like a lobster something, like lobster bisque that I ordered.
Oh, you got a little lobster
and I got
shell.
a lobster shell in it. I took a bite of it and it went.
Okay, I will
And
say
I'm like,
it's really easy to have little pieces of shell in your
Okay,
lobster
now
or your
that I
crab.
forgive.
Yeah,
There
that
is-
I
there is
forgive.
crab.
But like if
I
it's
find them. I
if
find the
it's
shell.
like beef or something like that, and,
Oh, a little
and-
piece of bone or gristle.
I
yeah,
find all
or
those too.
chicken.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when you know it's not supposed to have
Eggshells in
some
your
kind
egg salad.
Yes, yes. Like especially that. Like if you know, like if you're taking a bite of eggshell or whatever, and it or you take eggshell. If you're taking a bite
Oh
of
my god,
egg.
you just gave me like the grossest sensation.
If you're taking a bite of scrambled eggs and you go crunch,
Ew.
you know that's
Oh, no.
not supposed to happen.
I inspect my eggs very closely when I
Or-
make them. But of course, at a restaurant, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Yeah. My sister once got really sick while she was pregnant because she was craving egg salad, and my brother, bless his heart, he made her the egg salad, and she got a hold of, there was like a little tiny shell in there, and it made her sick, and she couldn't eat anymore. I don't
Yeah.
think she ever told him that story.
That
so.
grossed me out. Like that stuff, I am like the metal detector of, well, not metal, but like my mouth.
You're the
can-
magnet.
Yeah, my mouth can find that stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
on my plate, I'm sorry, I'm one of those gross people.
I
If I
always
find a
get
little
the-
piece of meat that's not like the same texture as all the rest of the ground beef, I pick it out and I set it on the side of my plate.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm so gross. Like I'm sorry I do that if that's someone else's pet
Yeah,
peeve.
no,
but
I can't
I pick
stand that
I-
either.
I
Like if
pick
there's
at
a
my
weird
food
meat.
and like I told my husband, like I'll eat anything, but I'm also the pickiest eater when it comes to texture because he always will chop up the white onion and he leaves the outside
Oh, that outer skin is all
right,
dried
not,
up and
not
rubbery.
not underneath the papery part of the onion, but like the first outer
The first
layer.
outer layer.
I
yeah.
cannot eat that. I refuse, and
I-
it's not.
My
the
husband
same
cooks that too, and I don't like
Well,
it.
you're
consistency.
supposed to peel it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always find it. I get every piece of that onion, or
Yeah.
I get the piece of the roasted tomato skin that won't
That won't come off.
that
yeah.
doesn't cook down, or I get the stick on the green bean. I find all of that
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
My
I
husband
always
just
get the
plows
stick
through
on the
all of
green
that.
bean also. I don't know why, but I
It's like
always
finding
get
the baby
stick on the-
Jesus and the king cake.
Yeah, I always
gonna
get
have
the
lots
stick
of
on the
good
green
luck.
bean.
I wish that
Or
was the case.
weird asparagus out of like a pile of tender asparagus. I always get the
woody
hard
one?
wooden
Yeah.
asparagus. I don't know why.
Well, okay, here's one that I can't stand rotten potatoes, okay? Like French fries that have the little black thing, the little black spot on it from the rotten end of the potato.
Ew.
And it's
Yeah.
like when that's going through the factory, does nobody see that potato was rotten? You know, well, okay, so I can almost excuse it through the factory because there's like thousands of potatoes going
The
through it.
machine actually sorts
The
that.
machine
Not really
sorts
a
them,
person
right.
that does it.
Yeah.
But it's overseen by people.
Yeah.
But here's the
Ish.
killer. I went to a restaurant one time and ordered a baked potato stuffed with barbecue. And this potato was probably a good 8 inches long. It was a big potato.
and they gave you
And
a
they
rotten
split it
potato?
open. They split it open and butter it and sour cream and cheese in the middle of it, you know, and then they dump a bunch of barbecue on it. And so I'm just eating this thing and I get down to one end and the whole end of that potato was black.
Did
The
you
whole
send it
end of it.
back?
I
hope.
did.
Oh,
But it was like, you know, that the guy who split that thing open saw that was black. Why did he serve that to me?
He probably thought it was okay. He probably would have eaten
I
it
don't
himself.
understand. I really don't. I don't
Yeah.
understand how
Yeah,
you
no
you
doubt.
could
Probably
not
didn't
miss
know
it.
it was rotten. I don't know.
I don't know.
Look at
I
me.
just
I
can't
don't
understand
know.
that one.
Cooking
That one
something else.
makes me crazy. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that is kind of another pet peeve, like people who don't pay attention at their job. They're just kind of half there, I guess.
Maybe they're having a hard time balancing that home
That
and life
home
work.
life
Yeah,
and
they're,
right?
they're like
I know.
sleeping
Well,
and making
that comes back to
food.
okay when
Right.
when
They're
the
still on their
checker
nap.
asks you how was your day and you go, oh, it's okay, and then you ask them, oh, it's almost quitting time, I can leave in 5 more minutes, it's been a terrible day. I do not want to hear that cashier's terrible day.
That's what you get for asking how was your day going?
Right.
Because I hate when people give me a really basic, generic answer. I'm the exact opposite. I would
See,
rather
I'm
you
like,
tell me about your rotten day, which I can understand. Like, that's not very good, like, customer service. But
Oh no, I don't
You
know.
know.
I just don't want to hear about.
I hate small talk. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Well,
I do
yeah.
not want to have small talk with you.
But
You
I
can
do-
either not talk
They-
or
see,
we
that's
can
why
talk.
I do
I
want
don't
them
like
to
people to
address
call
me,
me on
though.
the phone because I don't like to do small talk.
I don't either.
Yeah.
And then I'll just sit there and not talk, and I'm like, why am I on the phone when I could be doing 100 other things?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just don't like to hear the cashier going on about how terrible work is. It's like you're supposed to be smiling for your customers. So I don't know. That's my
Yeah,
pet peeve.
I can see that. Like, you don't really want to like be
It's not that I'm
bombarded
not-
with why
I'm not
someone
sympathetic to
didn't
them.
show up to work today, and
Yeah.
I
Or
can
they're
see
under.
where that
Even if
makes
you
you feel
don't-
kind of uncomfortable as a customer.
If they hate
like,
their job, find another job.
Yeah.
Plenty of jobs out there
Yeah.
right now.
Well, lots. Yeah, everybody's hiring. So, that's another pet peeve of mine. All these people who say they can't find a job. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Look on Indeed. There's like 10,000.
There's a
places
gazillion jobs.
hiring.
So, yeah. I don't know about that. I think they don't want to work very hard if they're not finding a
Well,
job. I mean, I haven't
the
worked
Great
outside the
Resignation.
home in 20 years, and I could probably find a job like that. So, don't tell me you can't find a job. There's jobs. What's another one?
One of my biggest pet peeves would have to be like, especially if you're at home or whatever, or you go to somebody's house and there's trash laying around everywhere.
Ew.
Or if somebody comes over to your house and
oh,
you
and they
feed
leave
them
their
or whatever,
trash.
and they leave their trash
Oh, yeah.
and don't throw it away.
Someone
Like,
rides in your car and they leave their drink cup.
yes, they leave their
I-
trash in the
yes.
Or
car.
their straw paper.
Yeah, I cannot stand that because, and I know I'm probably guilty of accidentally leaving trash, but I am so very OCD about throwing away my trash. Like, if I'm sitting in bed or whatever and I eat like something in a wrapper, I'm not going to say candy bar, but maybe. But if I eat something in a wrapper, and I will set it next to me and I'm watching TV or whatever, and I'm so OCD that I will look at that wrapper
It'll
until
drive you
I get
crazy,
up
yeah.
and go throw it away.
I know, but in my house, my husband does this. Everybody in my house does this, and I'm the one who picks up everything. So people come in with the mail, and they look at the mail. Oh, that's for me, and they lay it there. Oh, that's for me. I don't really want it, and they lay it there, and they'll open one and they'll leave the other one laying there, and I'm like, if it's trash, throw it away. Why are you laying it there? Why did you put it back down? Just throw it in the trash. But this is the same family who leaves cabinet doors open, closet doors open. I mean, like, I will go all over the house just shutting doors.
Disclaimer, although I am related to her, I am excluded from that part of the conversation because I do not do that.
She does not do that. I know she doesn't do that. She
Y'all are
closes.
too much alike.
We are very much alike. So
That
I
stuff
cannot
drives me
stand
crazy,
for
too.
a cabinet to be open. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I've raised up and somebody left a cabinet open above my head, and I've like put a hole in the top of my head from hitting the cabinet door, or somebody, he knows who he is, somebody left the closet door open one night, and I came to bed in the dark.
And you ran
And I
into
did,
the
and
closet
I
door.
ran into the not into the flat part of the closet door, but into the side
Narrow
of the car, the narrow part. So I left a knot in my forehead, and I saw stars. And I'm laying there going, ah, I can't say. I had my head in my.
You probably had a concussion.
I'm sure I did. I saw stars, and I had a goose egg on my forehead. And my husband knew it, and he laid there and pretended like he was asleep. Somebody. And he didn't admit until later that he was awake and heard me and was like sitting there going, oh, I did that. Oh, I did that. But he still leaves the closet door open. And I'm like, how hard is it to just, he'll kind of push it to, or, he'll push it up to the door frame, but he doesn't push it till it clicks. And I'm just like, close it all the way, push it.
Push it real good.
So I don't know.
baby.
I don't get that. But the pantry door, always standing wide open. The utility door, standing wide open. The linen closet, standing wide open. I'm like, what is it with this? Don't know. It's always that way. Always has been.
That bothers me too, and I'll come home. I've got 4 cats. So I'll come home and like my cats have opened my cabinets and I'm like,
It's like a
what?
poltergeist. But
Yeah, I know. It's like half my cabinets are open when I get home from work and I'm like, what the heck? I need child locks on these cabinets. And the laundry room door, I have to keep stuff sitting in front of it so my cats won't open it, because one of my cats got behind the dryer when I first moved in there and got stuck.
Oh.
And I had to climb down head first behind the dryer and pick her up.
Oh, gosh.
And dislocated my arm in the process.
Oh, gosh.
So I have to keep stuff in front of the laundry door because it doesn't click shut, so they can just open it. And so I have to keep bottles of water in front of the door so they can't open it, because I'm afraid she's going to get stuck behind there again. Maybe she learned her lesson and she's smart enough for me to, but I doubt
Who
it.
wants to risk it?
Yeah,
right?
I don't want to risk it because I don't want her to like blow up my house or me have to climb back behind there.
Yeah. Speaking of things left open, toilet seats.
Oh yeah, everybody hates the toilet seat. My husband doesn't leave the
I have
the
to have it
seat
down.
up.
Mine usually
But-
doesn't.
I have tinkle people in my house that leave their tinkle and stuff on the toilet seat, and that drives me crazy. Like, okay,
Or yeah, go into a
you
public
get-
restroom and seeing that on
anywhere,
the
like
seat.
if you get some biohazard hair
Wipe it
or
off.
toilet paper
yeah,
remnant,
wipe it off. People need to
wipe it off. Like, don't you turn around to look and flush? Like, everybody looks, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell me you don't look unless you did a courtesy flush, but you still have to turn around and flush the final flush. So you need to turn around and look at the toilet, make sure you didn't leave anything behind.
Yeah.
And if you did, you should wipe it up. I am nobody's mother except Raina's. So I should not have to wipe up anybody else's biohazardous materials
I agree.
other than my child.
I agree. You know what? I don't even like washing my husband's underwear just because I know where it's been. It's been on his butt, I'm
Right.
like he's not a dirty person. He's very clean, but I'm just like, I don't even want to handle my underwear, I'm just like,
True
Right.
enough.
I mean, like
True enough.
sticking my hand in the laundry and digging out that
Oh, God,
underwear.
yes. Every time I'm like, I'll use the other clothes to, like, scoop
Yeah.
underwear.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even
I don't
think
like
about
touching
that,
other
but I
people's
did.
underwear
But
and
I do that
socks.
also.
Dirty socks, same
Oh.
thing. I don't want to touch the
When
dirty
you
socks.
take your sock off, please do not put it in the laundry all crinkled up and rumpled. Please
Oh, in that little
unscrinkle
bunch.
it so that it can be washed while it's
Properly,
unbunched
yeah.
up, because
Yes.
crusty socks be nasty.
Oh yeah, if they stay bunched up and they go through the washer and they,
They
don't,
come out crusty
they
like
do,
that. It's
they
weird.
because they get wet and then they get hard.
Yeah.
Yes. Ugh.
Another thing around the house that bothers me is like when people eat or whatever, and they just leave their plates. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like if they sit at the couch and eat, and they'll just like leave their plates. Like, this was big when I was growing up. My dad used to leave like his plates and dishes everywhere, and it bothered my mom so much. She would like chase after him and pick everything up. And like that's one thing that I learned growing up, trash goes in the trash can, dishes go in the sink. Even if you aren't going to immediately wash it, dishes should go in the sink. They shouldn't be left around the house.
Right.
Now, I'm guilty. Maybe a day I'll leave an empty glass next to my bed or whatever, but I'm not going to leave. I have pets.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave my dishes around for them to lick on.
Well, and there's an
bite
issue of
on.
bugs and rodents and things like that too. But I have the same pet peeve. With certain people who leave their dishes in their bedroom. They take food to their room and then they leave the dishes in the bedroom. And certain people who live who are in this room did that when they were in high school.
I did.
They did it when they were in college and we were living together also.
You can also ask my husband too, because I sometimes will have like ham and cheese as like a midnight snack. Sometimes I'll have a glass of milk as a midnight snack, and I will have like a dish, and I won't get out of bed and go take it to the kitchen sometimes because I got the dogs in the bed with me. I'm already in the blankets. I'm in the covers, and I'll be there for like a couple hours just reading my book or whatever. And I'll just move my plate over to the other end of the nightstand.
Well, that's one thing. I mean,
I
sit,
but
and that's the thing is sometimes I'm like, oh no, I got to get ready for work, and then I run and hurry, and then I never take my dish to the kitchen.
Yeah, I usually pick mine up. That's the first thing I do when I get up, and when I leave the bedroom, I go to my chair and pick up whatever I left from the night before and put it in the sink.
Yeah, I am. That is definitely a bad habit of mine. I do leave a cup. Like, I have my coffee cup that I drink out of when I'm at work, and I use a brand new fresh clean coffee cup every day, and I like to bring it to the kitchen once I get off work so that it can wind up in the dishwasher and everything. But sometimes I'll forget my cup, and then I'll go to work the next day. I'll take the commute down the hallway, and then I'll be like, I'll have my coffee cup in hand, and I'll be like, shoot, there's another cup here. And then I have to take this extra effort to swap out the cups, and I'm just like, oh man, me and my dishes.
Yeah, my coffee cup does stay on my desk until at least dinner time usually, because I'm still sipping on that coffee until late, and then I put it away. But yeah, I don't know.
Chris, that reminds me of the quesadilla you left in your room. Or was it a pizza?
It was a quesadilla. It was a quesadilla
that the cat ate over. Like, you went home for the weekend, and I didn't realize there was a quesadilla. I left it on the dining room table.
It was on it was in a pizza box. It was from Taco Cabana, and they served their quesadilla in like this pizza box, like cardboard box thing. And I guess I didn't finish it, and I left it on the table.
We had a kitten I had a kitten that would eat anything, and she literally ate that whole quesadilla.
We had a dog that ate a whole tub of butter one time.
Oh my God, yes. My mom made muffins one time. Oh. My brother was like 4 years old.
Where did we go? I don't even remember where we went.
I don't know why we got up and left, but for some reason.
It was a Sunday, and we had to get up and go somewhere. And I always made blueberry muffins on Sunday. And we had the tub of butter, and actually they
were on the dining room table because we were watching.
We were watching the NASCAR race or something, and we ate our muffins or whatever, and we left to go somewhere, and I don't know where we went that we didn't put the butter up, but the dog got. And actually, I say butter. I'm using that term very loosely. It was actually a big
margarine,
country crock.
It was a big tub of country crock, which I hate.
Ate the whole thing.
She licked that whole thing, and then when we got home, she barfed.
Yeah, and gross. It was like late at night too. She like puked on my brother. She threw up on my brother. I remember that because he was like 4.
And it was nothing but foamy,
It was just
slobbery
yellow butter.
It was so gross.
And that's why, definitely, if you have pets, you shouldn't leave anything like
And
that
that is
out.
why we don't leave food things out. And that's why I do try to put my dishes away. And that's why I usually don't leave food on my plate.
She lies. She left lots of things out. She left Easter candy out one time, and the dog we were babysitting.
He got into the pantry. That
was the pantry. Okay. Never mind then. So I'm telling stories on her. Oh gosh, foods and pantries. Ooh, let's see. What other pet peeves do we have? Toilet paper going the wrong way. Does that bother you?
That really doesn't bother me. Like, I know it bothers a lot of people.
That
but
bothers
for
my
some
husband.
reason,
He
that
wants the
doesn't
toilet
bother
paper
me.
to only go a certain way. And I like it to go over the top because that's the way hotels always do it. So to me, that's the way it should be done. But my husband likes it to roll down the back so that he can just like give the roll a swipe and it all rolls off the roll. And I'm like, whatever.
I don't like it when the toilet paper is crimpled at the end. Like
Ooh,
someone
like
grabbed
somebody
it and
touched it with
squeezed
both
it.
their hands.
Yeah.
Especially in public places.
I like it
do.
to be flat.
when they
and-
let it touch the ground.
Yes,
like
I will
public
always tear that piece
restroom,
off and throw it
they
away.
leave it on the ground, and I'm like, man,
so
what a waste of
here's what
paper.
I do, because I literally do not sit on the toilet without wiping it off with toilet paper, and I even do this in my own house because I've become neurotic about it. But I will always just use that piece of toilet paper to wipe the toilet seat off. The piece that's been
that
hanging.
works. Yeah. But ew, yeah, no, I don't. Actually, kind of toilets are one of my pet peeves anyway. But
Yeah, they're not the
Ugh.
nicest places.
and
to be.
on that line, soft water at hotels. I cannot stand soft water. And I know,
or at Airbnbs, a lot of places will have a water softener at their Airbnb.
Oh, and I don't know. It just makes me crazy because you go to put soap on your hand and then you can never get the soap off, and you can't get I have long hair, so you can't ever get the shampoo or the conditioner out of your hair. And it just feels slimy. And I'm like, oh. And maybe it's because I grew up in West Texas where the water is really hard with minerals. But I just can't stand that slimy feeling.
Definitely.
And along that lines, people who don't wash their hands or have crusty gunk under their fingernails.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that. I call it shrimp poop nails.
Ooh,
Yes.
like when you're in a public restroom and the person next to you leaves without washing their hands, and I'm
And then
especially
you're just,
like at
sitting there
work and you know who that
dumbfounded
person
and
is.
disgusted. Yeah.
Or in restaurants, and you're like, oh.
And then it's sad, like, they have to put those signs like employees must wash hands before going back to
Like,
work.
don't you wash
And
your hands
that's
anyway?
how COVID spread, is people not washing hands.
Well, and coughing on each other.
Well, yeah, and coughing on each other, not covering their mouth when they cough, and not washing
Oh,
their
that's a-
hands
Oh,
afterwards.
that is
Let's
a
talk
pet
about
peeve.
some more other weird biohazardous waste things. See, that's mine are all biohazard
People who
things.
sneeze and
Sneeze
blow it
and
everywhere.
blow it everywhere.
Well, yeah, sometimes
yeah.
that happens on accident.
But I mean, like people who just sneeze and don't even put their hand up there to
Yeah,
catch it. Or
it happens on
I
accident.
mean,
Sometimes
yeah, I
you can't help
understand.
it,
Like
but
sometimes you
I
can't
have
stop it. Like
I have
sneeze
never
comes like,
coughed
70
without
miles
getting
an
my
hour.
hand up there. Now, it may not have been perfect, but at least I got my hand up there, or got my shirt up over my mouth or whatever when I coughed. I have never.
I've been sitting at my desk working, and then all of a sudden I sneezed. Like, I didn't even know I needed to sneeze. It just came all of a sudden.
Okay.
And it just might be because when you're like in the workplace, there's a lot of like other people's dust and stuff.
Yeah.
But because I always sneeze whenever I'm in the office. Like, I sneeze like
Ugh.
several times a day. I think it's just everything
Oh,
that
perfumes
everybody
and
else
stuff,
brings
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
But I cannot stand it when you're eating at a restaurant and someone at another table blows their nose
Ew.
at the table while people are eating. That
Yes.
grosses me out. Do not blow your nose at the table in a restaurant. Go to the bathroom or go outside to blow your nose. People don't want to hear your
Yet
boogers.
again, another way COVID spread.
Right. But mine is all like weird booger things. Like, I can't stand hearing people's snot Or when they
Oh,
go.
yeah.
I
like,
used to work
mine's
with people who
definitely-
did that all the time, and it would just like, oh, I can't work.
Okay, now I know people complain about that one a lot, but I will say I'm one of those people. My snot doesn't always come out the front of my nose; it goes out the back of my nose, or it hangs there.
I know.
and so I have to kind of go to get it to go away.
No,
you
but
know,
sometimes it's
because
just
it won't blow.
really gross.
Well, if it's excessive, go to the bathroom. Yeah,
yeah,
really, because yuck.
yuck.
Yuck. What about earwax? Another bodily thing. I cannot. My husband's really bad about having really crusty ears.
And you're just rolling him out today, aren't you? Poor guy.
He's a guy. He loves me. He knows. I make fun of him. No, but I can't stand earwax. I don't want to see earwax coming out of people's ears. It's like, get a Q-tip.
Yeah, that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Especially when it's all dribbly.
Because it's
with-
snot.
don't know.
It's ear snot.
Man, I don't
Well, it's just
notice
men.
people's ears that much, but now I'm going to kind of notice
I have
ears,
literally
and
seen people with
especially
dribbling ears, and I'm
both
like,
of
you don't
your
feel that?
husband's ears. I'm going to look at their
Oh,
ears
please
now.
don't.
You won't be happy if you do. Just feign ignorance, there.
But yeah, why don't people
dog
clean
poop? People who don't pick up their dog.
Oh,
poop.
Oh,
yeah,
that
that
is so
does drive me
annoying. Like,
crazy.
and
their
dog
dog-
parks and places like that, they have little trash cans and things for people. Like
dog
at my
poops on the
apartment
sidewalk.
complex.
I walk in my park
I
and there's
think
dog
some
poop
of
on the
those
sidewalk.
people are the same people that literally throw trash out of the window of their vehicle.
Well, that annoys
Yeah.
me too
Yeah,
because
that's
it's like
very
go home and
annoying.
put it in the trash.
yeah,
it
or
takes
put
fu-
a trash bag in your car. It
Right.
literally takes like 2
When
seconds.
you get out at the
Yeah.
grocery store, there's always a trash can right there. When you pull through the
Right.
Sonic, there's a trash can.
I think
when you go through the
that's-
McDonald's, there's
I
a trash
think
can right
those
there.
people might have like a inability to empathize with the world and like Mother Nature and other
Maybe.
people.
Yeah,
I
Like,
don't
maybe.
know.
their trash is
Like,
they don't care.
I totally
Well-
get that. There are designated places in my apartment complex to walk your dog, and then there are little trash cans and little things to put the poop in, and people will just let their dogs poop anywhere
Do
and
you know
don't
that-
pick them up.
There are some apartment complexes where they
DNA
take a
test.
DNA sample, and if you don't pick up your dog's poop and they take it, they send it in for a lab test, and they charge you for the lab test, and they fine you for your dog pooping.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that's
obviously
becoming
mine
a lot
doesn't do that.
more common. A lot more common. The is it Daniels Island in North Carolina, I believe, a few years back instituted that law.
Wow.
And they do it there because so many people were taking their dogs out and just letting them poop everywhere.
That's a big problem, like in urban area like downtown where I work, because there are a lot of apartment complexes around.
But there's
like,
not enough grass.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
people won't take the time to walk their dog to the grassy area. I mean, sometimes dogs
well,
have to
sometimes
go.
dogs just stop in the middle
You
of the
know,
Yeah, I
and-
have a
but they
sidewalk
won't-
pooper. I have a dog that doesn't
But they won't
understand.
pick
He
up
poops
the
on
poop.
sidewalk.
They just leave the poop on the
Yeah.
sidewalk for people to walk into.
Yeah.
And like the kids will step into it and then bring it into like the classroom, and then there's poop everywhere.
That's dog poop
That's-
is the
oh,
worst. On your shoe, it takes one little drop, and you'll be walking around,
You're smelling.
Yeah.
and you're like,
And you're like, why does it
does
stink?
smell like dog poop everywhere I go?
Why is there dog poop? Yeah.
That's the
Why does it
worst.
stink?
That reminds me of Raina when she first.
And she was just adamant that she did not step in dog poop. No, I didn't. I look, and I'm like, honey, you got dog poop on your shoe. It's a
That's-
tiny little pea size, but I can smell
Oh, I
it.
can smell it. Oh,
That
it was
reminds
bad.
me of the beginning of Clue, the movie, when they were all looking at their shoes and smelling around because somebody had stepped in dog poop. Do you remember that?
It's been a long time. The one with Tim Curry?
Yeah, the one with
Oh,
Tim
God, I
Curry,
need to
like
go
the
watch that
beginning of
again.
the beginning of the movie. It's like it smells like dog poop, and everybody's checking their shoes to see if they stepped in dog poop, but it never does like point out who stepped in dog poop.
Speaking of dog irritation, okay, I'm a dog lover. I have a dog, and she is a barker. But dogs who bark in the night or bark.
Oh, people who leave their dogs
excessively.
outside to bark
Yeah,
all night
people
long.
bark.
that leave their dogs outside
And
in
bark.
all weather, like hot.
Oh yeah, that drives
me
too.
crazy too.
But letting them bark and bark
all
and
night,
bark.
and
If
don't
they're
let 'em
just
in, yeah.
barking nonstop, bring the dang dog in. Tell the dog
Yeah,
to stop.
my neighborhood, sometimes it sounds like there's a kennel because
Oh,
all
yeah.
the dogs on our street
They'll
will start
they
barking.
Act each other up.
Yeah. And
The-
it's like, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, and then my dogs are in the house and it makes him bark because there's like 15 dogs outside barking.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll look at the clock and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, really?
Yeah, why is your
Yeah.
dog
Why
outside?
are all of these dogs
Why
outside
are-
barking? Like, why are they
Do they just
allowing
leave
that
'em-
behavior?
Yeah. I stick my head out the door, and if Sophie starts barking, I'm like, shh.
One of my neighbors across the way has like a pit bull or something, and they leave him out on the balcony a lot, and he'll sit out on the balcony and bark at every car that drives by. And I'm like,
Poor
how do
thing.
they not? Like, it's like an upstairs balcony. Like, how did they not hear this dog barking right outside their bedroom window?
That reminded me of the apartment complex you lived in when they had the dog upstairs.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I did have neighbors one time that they would let their dogs poop and pee on the balcony. Well, the way balconies, some of the balconies are kind of slanted
And it
just a little
trickle
bit
down,
so
yeah.
that the
Yeah.
dirt and stuff can naturally
Well, it's
wash
because of the
off.
rain, so the rain won't stand on it.
Stand
It
on-
rolls off.
right.
Yeah. Like
So-
your bathroom counters do or whatever.
Yeah. So literally, I would have dog poop and pee rolling down onto my balcony. And I remember going outside one time and there was a dog turd. I'm on the second floor and there's a dog turd on my little
What?
fence of
How
my
did that
balcony.
get there?
And it's clearly a dog turd. It's not a bird poop.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so gross.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, don't they know that's just not good? Well, it's not good
I
for the
had
dog
an
either.
upstairs neighbor that at one point in time, years ago, same thing, let their dogs poop and pee. And then they would bleach their balcony or whatever, and then the bleach would
And then
fall
the
down
bleach
into
trickles down
my
onto
balcony,
your-
onto
yeah.
all of my stuff.
And
I'm like,
that's just as bad.
That's
Yeah.
great. Why did
Yeah.
I want bleach on my stuff?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
terrible. I think it's people that just don't think. I don't think they think through the consequences of the things they do.
Their
Well, they
actions.
only think about themselves. They don't
Yeah.
think about other people. Like,
Well, and that that was talked about. One of our listeners, actually a couple of our listeners, told us that their pet peeve was people who don't use turn signals, and we were talking about that before the start of the podcast. You're sitting at a light or whatever, and there's a car across from you. You've got your turn signal on, and you're waiting for them to go because they don't have their turn signal on. But what they're really doing is waiting for you to go because they want to turn, but they don't have their turn signal on. Or maybe you're pulling out of the parking lot and you're waiting for this car to go by, and you're kind of like, come on, guy, hurry up. And he's slowing down.
And then he turns
And then
right
he turns
next to-
right where you are. And
you
it's
coulda
like,
went,
I could have gone if you'd have turned on your turn signal. So
Yeah.
that one is annoying to me too. It's totally annoying.
or like people who tear out in front of you and then start driving really slow. It's like
They pull right out in front of you
under
and
the
it's like-
speed limit. Like,
It's like you were in such a hurry to get out of that parking lot, and there's
then you-
all this space behind me, but you had to get in front of me.
and then drive slow.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
So speaking of transit, so you guys are talking about actual being the driving person.
Oh yeah.
One of our listeners said loud phone conversations on public transit. And I can attest, because I did ride public transit for quite some time. I could not stand it when people would talk on the phone while they were in transit. I really don't want to listen to a one-sided conversation.
Yeah.
And it's one thing if it's a pretty quiet conversation when you're just kind of like, yeah, hey, yeah, I'll see you in a bit. I'm on the bus. But yeah, if you can pick up some toilet paper and some lemons and some ground beef for our groceries, and then we got to pay the bill tonight. I'll see you when I get home. I'm about halfway there. Cool, whatever. You got to talk on the phone for a minute. But when people are arguing or like
loudly.
loudly having
that's
some
so annoying.
boisterous conversation.
They do it in
Can
the
you
grocery
please
store
wait
too, and
until
they'll
you
have
get
their little
home?
Bluetooth speaker or
No, on
headphones
the
on.
bus it's worse. At least at the grocery store you can go down a different aisle.
Well, that's true.
And get away. On the bus, you may be stuck with that person for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you have headphones on, you can't even hear like what's going on in your music because you keep hearing part of their conversation and
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
"Oh, is someone trying to get my attention?" Oh, no, it's just that lady talking on the phone. Or you can't read your book because you can't concentrate. I can't stand it. I don't like it. Like, let's all ride in silence. I don't want to hear your music. I don't want to hear anybody talking. We're all going to talk or ride in silence. Nobody talk.
Oh, so that's like in the airplane and the person wants to talk. Yeah, I get on airplanes and I either want to read or sleep, one or the other, because I've either gotten up really early and didn't go to bed early enough, or I just want to read a book on my way, And there's always that person next to you that wants to talk and talk and talk and talk.
Or the
Hi, who are you?
person
Where are
in
you
front
from?
of you
Blah,
that
blah,
wants
blah,
to
blah, blah,
lay
blah,
their
blah.
seat all the way back.
Oh, yeah. Or the person that puts their elbows on both of the armrests or whatever and crowds you out. Yeah, those are annoying. Those are very annoying.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I'm on the fence of let's be quiet. I wonder if the people who like to talk a lot with their person they're sitting next to, the stranger, is like, God, I hate when you go on an airplane and the person next to you doesn't even want to have a conversation with you.
Probably.
I wonder if
Maybe
that's
that
their
should
pet peeve.
that's
maybe
their
that
pet
should
peeve,
be
yes.
a thing when you buy your airline tickets. I want to sit by somebody quiet. I want to sit by somebody who talks, and then.
No, that would make too much sense.
Oh yeah, that would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
there'd
well.
only be like 2 seats for the people that like to talk.
Talking section.
Well, let them sit together. That would
Sleeping
be great.
section.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Oh,
Quietly
yeah, because,
reading section.
because the people that want to use their table and are a little bit pudgy like me don't want someone sleeping in front of them because then I have less space between me and the table.
Oh, I know.
Because when they lay their seat back, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one's.
Yeah, that would make too much sense.
I don't like transportation still. People who steal your parking spot. And I actually almost had this today. On my way over, I stopped at Costco to run in and grab something real fast. And I pulled down the aisle and there was a car backing out and I was going to grab the parking space. But right as he started backing out, another car closer to me started backing out too. So I was stuck right at the entrance of that aisle. And these two cars don't even pay any attention to each other. They're both backing out at the same time. And I thought they were going to hit each other. I really did, because I don't think either one of them saw each other. And they both back out. Well, in the meantime, this big pickup truck comes from the other direction. And I'm like, that dude is fixing to get my parking space. And so as soon as the car in front of me started moving, I just gassed it, and pull up in my parking space and pull up in there. And because I'm just thinking, this guy's going to get that parking space. And I was here first, and I've been waiting for like 3 minutes for these stupid people to back out because they're so slow, but so careless about it. And I just knew there was going to be a wreck. And so I get out of my car, and here comes the guy. He parked in the other parking space, and he comes along, and he goes, I really wasn't going to steal your space.
Aw. He saw
said,
the fear in your face.
And I was like, I know, but I've had too many people that have literally done that. I've got my blinker on, I'm waiting for the car, and this car coming from the other direction like zips in there and steals it. And it's just like, I hate that. Yes, that is a pet peeve.
Sadly enough, I have been that person before that stole the space.
Amber.
Well, or no, actually, it was more of like a competition to see who could get to it first.
Oh, well, now
That's
there's
what
that.
you tell
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, and it was back when there was only like maybe 1 or 2 Sam Moon in the area.
Uh-huh.
And so those were always like so crowded when there was just one. Now you can go and get any kind of parking spot because not as many people go anymore post-COVID. But
I don't think it's as good anymore. Anyway,
no, it's not as good anymore either. But yeah, I like fought over a parking spot one time at Sam Moon's back when it was good. This was probably like 15 years ago. And and this woman like came up to my window and she was yelling at me in a foreign language, and I just wasn't looking at her. I waited till she left, and then I got out of my car.
You better make sure you didn't get keyed when you came back out. Whoops. No, that is tacky.
Yeah, I know. So no, I have been on the well.
Please don't key anybody's car, people. That is really terrible. Yes.
Right? People pay lots of money for cars.
Well, and don't go up, even if someone slighted you, don't go up to their window and start cussing them out, because that is just not the best way to go about,
well,
you know.
You know what Tully
Let
tells
it go.
Us?
It's just a parking space.
If I was a lesser person, I would have opened the door and hit her. Just kidding.
Oh.
I am
She's terrible.
No, I'm joking.
But
I'm
Tully talks about this, you know, and he talks about don't take those things personally. When somebody steals your parking space, or somebody cuts you off in traffic, or somebody's rude to you, or the cashier's, you know.
Well, that's like people that flip other people off, like when driving, like if somebody accidentally cuts them off, or they don't know where they're going, or they're a student driver or something like that.
You don't ever know what's going on with those people. They, you know, they could be driving, you know, they could have just found out that their mother died or whatever, and they're just trying to get home, you know, or whatever. Or you just don't know what people are thinking. And he talks about it being, it's not really them. They're not bad people. They're not inconsiderate people. That's just their ego. That their ego is what made them do that, because the ego only sees itself.
Right.
And so they just have no conscious.
Right. And your ego is trying to tell you that they are doing it to you.
To you.
Right. And that person who didn't use their blinker that one time in front of you may be very religious about using their blinker. You
right.
don't
and they
know.
just forgot or something.
Yeah, they were
so
distracted.
Don't flip them off for forgetting
I know.
their blinker.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big thing. And I'll tell you another one of my pet peeves, and it's kind of a weird one, and it's one I actually do myself, and it drives me crazy when I see it in other people, and Tully has an answer for that as well, and it's people who are late. I'm always late.
She is
always late.
Always late.
I'm always late.
Well, I feel like I'm late a lot, but yeah,
You
y'all
are. You are.
I am. You're late too,
We're
Amber.
all three late all the time. Like we will plan something, plan a time to meet.
Oh
or
yeah,
plan
and it's
a
always
time
2
to
hours
start,
later.
and it's usually like 2 hours later. Or what was it like? Christmas dinner? You're all like, we're gonna start eating at 5, and then like
8
6
o'clock.
hours. Yeah, like 3 hours later, we didn't eat.
Yeah. No, but I do, and that's one of those things. You know, it's like I plan things out, and it drives me crazy when people are late. And it drives me crazy when I'm late too, but it drives me crazy when people are late. And Tully has an answer to that as well, because he talks about the things that you notice in other people that annoy you. Those are usually things that you're mirroring from yourself. And if somebody, and I've seen this also in my oracle cards, where they're talking about one of the cards in my oracle deck is the mirror card, and it says one of the lessons that it teaches on that card is to look and see what's triggering you. And if something is triggering you, it's usually something that you're reflecting back. And so it's usually something that you do too, and that's why it annoys you. So I thought that was kind of an interesting take on it.
That is really interesting, because sometimes you'll be driving and you'll be like, I want over, but I can't get over. This guy is in my way. And I'm like, put your blinker on.
Right. Yes.
And you're like, oh, yeah, I was going to. And I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't know that you want over.
Right.
Yeah,
And
Turn on your blinker, then you look to see if it's safe to go, and then you get over.
Right.
Not the other way around.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely annoying when somebody is
You have to
trying to get in
communicate.
your lane and they don't turn on their blinker and they just try to cut you off.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely that goes back to the blinker conversation.
Well, and again, it's not they're not doing it on purpose to you. They're not willfully saying, I'm going to drive on this highway and never use my blinker. They just don't think about it.
They don't think about it, but then, it turns into a safety of, like, that's why there's so many wrecks on the highway.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because people, not thinking about...
They're distracted driving or whatever.
On their phone driving.
Don't turn their so much of that. I don't like phone call people who are on their phone when they're driving.
You're talking about, like, a lot of these are, like, people not being considerate of others. And that was something that Eckhart Tolle talks about, too, is that those things that you see that are a part of you, it doesn't necessarily mean that you also drive without your blinker on all the time, but you regard that as something very important because you find it considerate.
Yes.
To others.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why you are affected by it, why it is a trigger for you, is because somewhere in your life someone was inconsiderate to you or inconsiderate to others, and it impacted you in such a way that it's deeply important.
Or somebody accused you of being inconsiderate in some other way as well.
You have held that to an esteem. Like, you are, sometimes you're drowning in, like, people are so inconsiderate.
Right.
We have that feeling.
But we are all, as humans... We are all inconsiderate. We all do things that are
we all
accidentally.
We are only human. Yeah.
I have a foot and mouth problem. I will say things, and it doesn't come off the way I intend it, but it sometimes sounds kind of harsh, or it's a faux pas.
No, I do that too.
And I feel really bad about it. And I beat myself up about it a lot, but it's never intentional. And I forget birthdays, if I don't write them on my calendar and I don't see it that day, I will space it out completely. So,
I'm bad about that also.
I forget to send cards.
It makes me feel bad when I don't tell somebody happy birthday, and then
it's
a week later.
So we
it's like,
all
oops.
do things that are inconsiderate, and there's there's times when I'm walking by and I just tell people, hush, you're too loud. Well, there's nicer ways I could say that, or I bark at my husband because he comes in and interrupts me in my space or whatever, and we've talked about those boundaries. And so though, we all do things that are inconsiderate of other people in different ways. And so maybe we need to find a little way to be a little more forgiving of people and realize that they're not doing it on purpose to hurt us. That person who doesn't turn on his blinker is not saying, I'm going to drive down the highway until I see that silver car, and then I'm going to not turn on my blinkers so that they won't know when I'm going to turn. They don't know that, or they're not doing that. They're not driving down the highway and saying, I'm not going to use my blinker at all today. They don't do that either. They're just like, oh, I'm distracted. I'm thinking about something else. Oh, I turned and I didn't turn my blinker on. Oops.
A lot of pet peeves that involve other people can be explained this way. Like
the tinkle on the toilet.
Yeah, the tinkle on the toilet, or like
It's not
somebody
malicious.
forgetting to put their dish in the dishwasher, or somebody forgetting to throw away trash. Now, people that deliberately throw trash out their
Out the
car,
window.
like,
Now, that's
I don't
different.
really
Yeah.
have an explanation about that.
That's
and
a
then the
disregard
earwax thing, I'm not really sure why people don't clean out their earwax. Maybe it's just
I don't think they don't notice it. I think they don't notice
Yeah, I
it.
think they don't notice
I
it.
don't-
See, if
but
I have
my ears
earwax,
itch.
mine itch.
Mine itch.
And
It
see,
hurts.
that
How
is
do
a
they not
condition of
itch?
you. You get tickly, itchy ears, and you're like, "Oh my god, my ear itches."
I
Because
gotta
we've
clean
done
my
that.
ears.
We have allergies, and our
Yeah.
ears itch. I'm always like scratching my ear.
Mhm.
So for us, we're like, "How can you not notice that?" Because
Yes.
our ears irritate us. They irritate us.
Yes.
And
So-
my nose is the same way. Like, I'm constantly, like, with a Kleenex
Oh.
cleaning my nose or like,
Oh, me too.
you know, because I cannot stand
Mine
anything in
my
my
nose stays red because I'm just
Right?
and
rubbing
and
at
my
it all the
nose
time.
itches all the time, so
And
I've always got
therefore,
to
other
clean
people's
it.
booger problems bother you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like my nose itches.
How can you not feel that booger hanging
Yeah,
out of
how
your
can,
nose?
like, because
I can
it
see
makes
it
it
waving in the
itch.
breeze.
And you want to pick it for
I
them.
do.
I know.
I
That's
see
the
that
problem.
hair with that booger sticking on it. I'm like,
I think that's
Some
what
people
it
just
is.
don't notice stuff like that.
I
Yeah,
know.
It's just so funny. Like, how can you not notice a
How
big
can you-
booger hanging out of your nose?
And it's like
Or how can you
it's
not?
flapping on the hair. Yes.
Because, like, if there was a booger like that, it would make
Every
my
time
hair
they
itch.
breathe, it's like frosted
oh,
flakes.
stop.
Or, like, you know, like, no, I'm guilty of this. I can't say it. You know, like, if you forget to pull up your zipper in the bathroom, I'm guilty
Oh,
of that.
my
Like,
husband does that every day. I'm like,
like, how do you
feel
not
the
notice?
breeze?
Like, but I've been guilty of that before. It's a good thing that I, you know,
I've
wear
done
kind
that
of
one
long
before, too.
shirts, you know, so it
Yeah.
covers it, you know. I've accidentally forgotten to do that if I was in a hurry, like
Yep.
at work and trying to like run back.
Hurry up before class starts again. Yep. Oh, man. But yeah, I really think, you know, if we learn to be a little more tolerant of our pet peeves, to me that's a lot about the being in the now. Everything comes back to tolerance.
Everything
It really does.
does.
And I've found that a lot of those things bug me a lot less now. Like having to stand in line at the checkout because there's only one checker. You know,
Think
I
about how
love it.
she feels. She's like, golly, there's like 20 people in my lane.
Yeah.
And it's
And
not
she's
her
understaffed.
fault.
It's not her
It's-
fault. They're understaffed. They
you
can't
know,
get enough people to work. And
And then you asked her how her day was.
Or there's
Do you really want to know?
right.
Yeah. But yeah, and I feel definitely bad for businesses that can't find somebody, and then
I know.
there's one person checking out, like
Yeah.
at Dollar Tree. That happens a lot.
It
You know,
does.
there's
Yeah. They can't
one
keep
person
people.
working the whole store, and then
These lower retail and the lower
Like
like
fast
fast food stuff, they cannot keep enough employees to run. You know, there's so going back to the Burger King, there's a Burger King not too far from me that has closed the dining room at dinner time on many occasion because they don't have enough staff to work
clean
the
the
front
tables
counter
and
and
the
clean the
counter,
tables and
yeah.
stuff. So they're only operating the drive-through because that's all they've got one person back there cooking and one person taking the phone call or, you know, taking the orders at the drive-through.
the last time I went back to my hometown, I wanted to go to Sonic and get a Sonic drink. Because that's like one of the only places that you can get an iced coffee. Or, you know,
I
like...
love Sonic.
But, yeah, I know y'all do. And Sonic is like the, you know, one of the only places in my hometown to get something like that. I mean, we won't talk about McDonald's, but so I was going to go to Sonic and get a drink before I went over to my cousin's house, and they were closed. And it was like 6 p.m.
Whoa.
and they were closed, and it was a Saturday, and I remember they used to be open till midnight on Saturday. And I text my cousin and I was like, did Sonic shut down? And they were like, they can't get enough people to work the night shift.
Mm-hmm.
They only are open until 5 p.m. now.
Mm-hmm.
Because they only have a few people that work like from open until 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you know, Sonic used to be like when I was in high school, Sonic used to be the place to work. All the kids wanted to work at Sonic.
Yeah. Because you make pretty
The
good tips.
Yeah, the tips.
Pretty good tips, yeah.
And it's crazy that they're no high school kids willing to work the night shift.
But
at
are
Sonic.
they making tips anymore? People don't pay with cash.
That's
people
true. They
using
might
the
not
app,
be
they're
making
playing with
tips
credit
And
anymore.
when
Yeah,
you pay with a card at a lot of those places,
It
was
doesn't
really
give
hard
you the
to give a
opportunity
tip.
to. It
that's
doesn't
true.
give you
Like
the
a lot of people
opportunity to
use the
give a
app
tip.
and they don't tip, and then low wages. So yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that now. Yeah.
All right, and let's not even talk about tips because that's a pet peeve of
Oh,
mine.
that
and I-
actually is a pet
Yeah,
peeve of
people
mine,
that
so-
don't tip.
yeah, or
I
low
mean,
tippers,
we've
cheap
all
tippers.
worked in the service industry, and yeah, my boyfriend, he is manager at a pizza place, and occasionally he has to deliver and drive and work when other workers don't show up to work, and he'll drive and he'll get like $1 tip
Well, and
Wow.
in like $100 order.
I have issues with the tipping system, and this would be a totally different podcast. But
Right, that's why I said don't even get started on the
different
tips.
countries, they don't tip, but they also don't pay service staff
a low,
the low wages that
wage.
we pay in the U.S., and that's something that drives me
That's an
crazy.
American crisis.
If you as a company want your employees to treat your customers well, then you need to make them well paid. You need to make your employees happy so that they are willing to share that happiness with your customers.
Yeah, and minimum wage in the U.S. has not changed since in 20, I don't even know. So I worked in high school. I worked fast food, or I worked in the service industry, and they still make the same amount of
And
money.
it's not enough to live on. It's not.
No.
So,
So there's my biggest pet
there's
peeve.
that's
yeah,
a big
that
pet
is a
peeve.
big pet
That is a
peeve,
big pet
living
peeve.
wage.
And yeah, so I think we've had some good lessons with this, and that's probably a good place to leave it before we get into
Before we start
a much
ranting.
darker and a much darker
Or
conversation.
make jokes about boogers again.
Well, yeah, we don't need any more of those.
Or,
Yeah.
or other weird bodily things that people do.
But I hope you enjoyed this this episode as much as we did. We got a lot of laughs out of it, as you can tell.
So we
And,
want to hear more pet peeves.
Yeah,
from y'all.
share your
This
pet
is
peeves.
more.
We got some from some of our listeners, and we want you. If you didn't call yours in, or if we didn't get to yours, let it. Share those, and we'll talk some more about those over on the blog, or over on the Facebook chat group. You can find us at modernmusings.net, and all of the links are right there on the blog right there, and you can talk to us there. We love to have conversations with you guys. Sometimes people just send us emails, but we'd rather do it in that open forum, because then other people can join in that conversation as well.
Yes.
So send us that info in Facebook, and we'd love to talk to you. And then what do we have coming up next, Miss Kristen?
Next week, we are talking about
I think it's Amber.
managing
We're talking about
migraines
me?
holistically.
No,
managing
yes.
migraines.
Our topic next week is Amber.
Oh,
Amber.
yes. Okay. Yeah, we're fixing Amber. So,
no, managing migraines, which is see, I have chronic migraines, so I have lots of tips and tricks to talk about.
I'm interested in that because I've suffered with migraines too. So.
Right, and I'm starting to think that I'm having issues with it. I think that we'll talk about it more next week, but I'm excited to hear what.
Yeah, me too. So, so tune in next week and share this podcast with your friends, and go over wherever you get your podcast. Give us a rating and show us some love, because we want to share this conversation with more people. The more people that are sharing this conversation, the more people we can help, and that's kind of part of our thing, is that we want to provide some enlightenment and some positivity in the world.
Definitely.
And so we want you to help us do that. And we want to do a shout out to Red Door Studios and Creative Audio Tech for the equipment and our theme music. And we will catch you next week on the podcast.
Catch you next week.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.